Was thinking that I haven't really shown a lot of my artwork lately, so today I thought I would just go through some of the stuff I've been making over the last few months. Hey creatives, welcome or welcome back. I'm Michelle. Today we're going through the art that I've been working on. So whether you find that interesting or not, I also like to look back sometimes and see what have I been working on. I mostly just show my artwork on like studio vlogs that I have posted. I haven't done a lot of them, but I thought it was time for me to do one of those again. And I'm currently working on the 12 days of illustration that I like to do every Christmas. Well, not every Christmas. I just started doing it last year. But I thought I was working on it again this year and thought, I haven't really shared anything that I've been working on lately, like specifically art-wise. So, and sometimes I really like to revisit and look through that stuff myself. So I thought it would be fun if we could kind of go through what I've been working on. A lot of it's been digital. It's just been a lot easier for me to work on digital artwork lately. For some reason, I've just been drawn towards that and working that way. But I did do some physical art, so I'm going to show you that as well. But first, I want to dive into my iPad and I want to show you guys the kind of illustrations and just things that I've been working on. I did a custom dress illustration. So one of my previous studio vlogs, I showed that I had listed on Etsy a listing to draw, like illustrate people's wedding dresses, kind of like a keepsake. And then they would send me their photos and then I would draw their wedding dress. Well, I had a client reach out and she wanted me to do her prom dress from 1989, which I thought was fun because that's kind of my age. I think I graduated in 90, so it's right around the same time frame. I thought that was super fun, but it was one of her most favorite dresses she ever wore and she doesn't have it anymore. So I worked on her with that to kind of recreate the dress so that she would have that memory of it, and it was really fun to do. And I think it turned out really good. So I just completed that recently and now I'm starting on my 12 days of Christmas illustrations, which I only have a couple done so far. But if you don't follow me on Instagram and you want to, then you can see I post them every day from the 13th to the 25th. Basically, it's actually 13 days if you count Christmas Day, but that's the main stuff that I've just been working on recently, but for the last few months, I have done a bit of stuff. So let's dive into it. First, we're going to take a look at my iPad, and then I'll show you some of the physical art that I was also working on. A lot of watercolor stuff that I was doing. I did do a class on Domestica that was really fun. So some of the artwork that I was working on with watercolor was from that class. So I'll talk about it when I get to that part. All right, let's dive in. Okay, I wanted to talk about the custom dress that I did first. And just for context, I kind of wanted to show you, like, these are the kind of illustrations that I do that are like custom illustrations. So you can take anyone's, like a photo of any dress basically, and I can draw it. So this was what the Etsy listing was for, was to draw like custom illustration of your wedding dress. And then what we ended up doing was, this is the finished product. She wanted the front and back design. So we did this. It was really cute. She had this beautiful dress. It was very vintage. She loves vintage. We didn't have a photo of the back of the dress, which is this. It turned out really good. It was a satin. I think it comes across as satin. Satin's kind of hard to draw, but I did my best. But we didn't have a picture of the back, so we had to use photos, and then she had to send me some references of different things she found on Pinterest that were kind of similar, and then I had to kind of build it up from there. But this is what we came up with. And I think it turned out really cute. And then she had all these accessories that were also things that were very important and sentimental to her. Like gloves that were her mom's from the 60s, I believe, a purse that was lent to her from someone that was special, and then the shoes that she had found that just happened to match. So I drew all those for her, and that was her custom dress illustration, and I really had a fun time doing it. This one was a lot more work, only because we didn't have the specific picture of the back of the dress, so that took a little bit more time, but it was really interesting and I really enjoyed working on that. So now what I'm working on, I'll go back to the stuff in a sec, but the reason why this came about today is I started working on my 12 days of Christmas. So last year, these were pretty much all the drawings that I did last year, except for that one I didn't do. That was just a kind of a sample one, but those were my 12 Days of Christmas illustrations. They're all on my Instagram, still there from last year. And if you do go back and look, you can see that I haven't posted a lot last year. I'm so bad on posting on social media. I post more on YouTube than I post more on social media, and I only post here twice a month. So that's not saying very much, but yeah, this is what I did for my 12 Days of Christmas last year, and it was a lot of fun. I got to try out drawing a lot of different things and learn some new techniques with the iPad and the Procreate app. I learned, how to draw a little bit better with all of these. And as you can see, I do like to do, I don't know why I'm covering that. I do like to do more detailed illustrations. Like if you look at something like this, you can see that I do get into little details and textures, and what else is very detailed. I mean, there wasn't a lot of fashion stuff, but like even things like this house, which not that many people like, but there's so many little details on it that I get carried away, and I love doing stuff like that. So as hard as I try to do like abstract things, I keep coming back to this kind of style of illustration all the time. So I'm just trying to embrace that and kind of go with it. So far this year, I've only gotten a couple done. And so this was the first one I did. And this was our tutorial that I watched on YouTube with a letter illustrator, a digital letter illustrator. Her name is Aurora, and I can't remember her last name right now. But I can list it. I can link it in the description because it's a really great one. And it's just to make it look like an ugly Christmas sweater knit. And if you look close, you could see that it looks like tiny little stitches. And you basically do draw every single little stitch using I'll see if I can show you. I downloaded her free brush set that she gave with the tutorial called Ugly Sweater. And so there's this stitch, which is the brush that you use. And so you can do like a whole line with them, and you'll just keep getting stitches. So you can stitch, and then I think I took some snippets I can show. I'll insert one here. But you can see how you can just do whole lines of stitching at once. It doesn't have to be all at the same time, but that was really fun to do. And so she had a template which I used, but then I changed it because hers said Mary whatever. So I used some of those letters and then made the rest up myself because I wanted to do Mary everything. And I was kind of going for a pink and red and white and green look. So maybe hearts aren't that Christmassy, but that's what I felt like doing. So that's how it ended up. And I thought it was cute. It's a little bit different, but I want to really practice my lettering skills, because that's something that I'm really terrible at. So working on really interesting lettering is going to be one of my goals this year. And the second one I did were these cute little dogs. Oh my gosh, I had the best time drawing these guys. They are the cutest. So I did a golden retriever. I did like a little bully, and he's wearing his elf costume, like from the movie Elf. And then I thought the Goldie could be Santa Paws. And then I just wanted to do a little small dog along with them, and I thought Corgi would be the perfect opportunity for this because he's adorable. So I did these dogs. I love dogs. I miss my dog. So I thought it would be fun to do little dogs first it was just going to be dogs in sweaters. And then I ended up, I don't know, it just came this way. I thought, oh, put him in a Santa hat. And then I was going to put this guy in an elf hat. And then I thought, oh, what kind of sweaters are they going to wear? And then it turned into Santa Claus. And then I'm like, I'll make him an elf. And then I'm like, oh, I'll make him Elf from Elf the movie. And then this guy can just be like the reindeer with a little collar on. Actually, I haven't finished this one yet. I need to do the decorative details on this guy here. So I have to finish that, which I have to post tonight. So I better do that. And then the third one that I've finished so far is I'm also working on doing more surface patterns. So I did one of Christmas cookies. So you can see all the different Christmas cookies. And what I did was I created the pattern. Oops, sorry, I'm kicking this. I created the pattern, so this was just the original tile for it. And I did like a couple of each on there so you can kind of see more details of all my Christmas cookies. And then I added just some fillers with the holly and the little pine needles. And then I used that and then I made it into a repeating pattern, which is this one. So my 12 days of illustration are a little bit different this year because I wanted to practice, like I said, my lettering. I want to practice my surface pattern design skills. And I still wanted to do some fashion stuff. So what I did this year, and this is really messy, don't laugh, but I just made this kind of mock-up. What I did was, let me hide this. It's extremely messy, but it's just for my organization. But I took the color palette that I'm working on and I laid it out as like an Instagram tile so that I know what colors are going to look good beside each other. And I just wanted to vary like the color palette that I'm using. So I laid out the tiles so that I know exactly how it needs to look. And then I have 4 sections that I'm working on, and there's going to be text-based illustrations, animal-based illustrations, surface pattern illustrations, and then fashion. And I wanted to spread them all out and also mix up, you know, the color of the background of them. So I use this just so that I know, like, I know what's happening every day. Like, so this is the 13th, 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th, 20th, 21st, 22nd, 23rd, 24th, and then there will be a 25th, like for Christmas Day. But this is how I laid it out. So in my mind, I can really organize them like, okay, I know that this day is going to be a dark background. It's going to be text-based. So this is, I actually did the ugly sweater, so it's not actually this color background, but that's okay. At least it gave me an idea, a jumping off point of where to start. Then the next one I knew was going to be this pale, almost white color, and it was going to be an animal. And then I had 3 ideas for animals. So I'm like, the best one on here will be dogs and sweaters, which became the one with the 3 dogs. And then this one I knew was going to have a blue background and it was going to be an all over surface pattern. And I wanted to use the cookies on that one. So that just kind of gave me a jumping off point where I knew it was a little easier for me to get started and know what it was that I was drawing. And then every time I finish one, I'm going to bring the photograph in so I can start laying it out, and I'll see at the end I will have all of these filled with all of the actual drawings that I've done. But it just, because there's so many like options of what you can draw, it's hard to think. For me, what stops me is the overwhelm of choices. So if I can get clear on, like, it's almost like giving myself a brief. I know what it is that I need to do. Like the next one I have to do is on this pink background, and it's going to be a fashion illustration, and it's going to be like with shopping or gifts, like holding gifts or shopping of some kind. So that gives me somewhere really specific that I can start, and it makes it easier for me to get going with the actual drawings instead of just thinking about things all the time. So anyways, that's my 12 days of illustration. I did want to go over a couple other things that I've been working on recently. I don't know where I ended. I think I showed the stack of bathing suits that I had done. I believe that was in the last video. Sunglasses were fun. I did, I'll just show you a couple of things. This is just a fun girl in headphones because I don't know, I just like doing stuff like that. And this was one that I posted on my Etsy shop recently, and I really, really liked the way it turned out. And because I just had this idea, and this is what I tell you guys in a lot of my videos that I try to come across, the idea of like, be the light you want to see in the world. Like, put yourself out there because you never know who needs to hear what you have to say, or whatever it is that you want to put out into the world. You don't ever know who might need that. So it's just a reminder to everyone to just be yourself, put yourself out there, whatever it is you feel like you really want to say, like, not to be afraid to say it. So that was just something that came about. And I actually did all of these, this whole pattern. Like, I did this overall silhouette, and then I created all of this in different layers here on Procreate. I want that open. I don't know if you can really see it, but you can see that I did some layers with like the stars, with the little celestial bursts and stuff. There's all different watercolor watercolor brushes here. I think some that I've downloaded myself, but I was just using watercolor assets basically, and then some star stamps, and I created this whole thing myself. So none of that, you know, you can turn them off and you could see that they weren't, I don't even know which ones they are, but you could see. So it was just plain black. And then I added some of like splotches, and then some more, really more interesting ones, and then some stars, and then the words. And oh, that was just my initials. But you can see how you can build these things on. So I'm learning new techniques on my iPad all the time of how to do different things. And this was just a really fun experiment, and I really liked the way it turned out. It's just like a fun poster to have, a little thing to have on your wall. So I enjoyed doing that. And then I did do some more fashion drawings, like this girl in the leopard. I love leopard. I just think it's a fun, this is my style. If I actually dress nice to go out, I would wear an outfit like this, because I think it's really cute, because I like wearing black and I love a little leopard, and I just thought she was cute. So that was my fashion drawing that I did recently. I haven't been doing a lot of them. And then building on like the silhouettes that I had used in this girl, I came up with this girl, just did a really basic woman's face silhouette. It was based off of like a 60s vintage photograph that I'd seen, but I changed it up a bit. But I just wanted to get this overall, like a black and white high contrast face, so that I could kind of layer in the textures like I did on the previous one a little bit, kind of play around more with that and elaborate on that. So based on this drawing, I then did a whole series of them, which you can see here. The first one was very similar to the side profile, but I did it the front facing. So this is the one I tried the same Cosmos technique, I guess you would call it, guys. I called this one Cosmic Girl. So I did that one, and that's the first one I started off with. I ended up doing one for Halloween, because why not? It was right around that time in October that I was working on that. So I did the Halloween witch, which I love. And then I did a whole series. So this was Queen, and I put a nice tiara on her. I drew this all out. I think I took the overall shape from somewhere, but then I drew in all the little shapes myself. So that was really time consuming, but I really enjoy this fine like detail work. And then you can see like the texture. I used, again, more watercolor texture with like different layers. I just, you know, just trying to make it look interesting but graphic. And it's basically a series of strong female archetypes. So we've got the Queen, and then we've got the Muse, and I thought she would be fun to be a little more funky, a little more urban. So I gave her like a short haircut and some earphones. So it's all about kind of music and inspiring in different artistic ways. And then this one, I took a picture of my jean jacket and I layered it. I don't know if you can see it. I layered the photo of my denim jacket behind it, because I thought that really just added more to the urban feeling of it. But then I wanted to do it in different colors. You can see all the colors that I've got here. So I'll insert photos here. I did one in lavender, which turned out really well. And then I also did one in fuchsia, which is also really pretty. I just couldn't decide between those colors, so I did all three of them. But I really like the way they turned out. So that was Muse. And then the last one was Goddess, of course. So she's in gold, because I thought gold makes sense for Goddess. And just fun things. I did put them up on my Etsy shop, but Etsy's been really slow lately. I don't know if it's just me or if it's everyone. And it sounds like it's everyone, but maybe you're having more luck. I was doing some stuff with horses, and then I also was just doing like an abstract, playing around and just sketching whatever came out of my brain and my hands, and I came up with this girl, which is kind of fun. You can see there's like kind of some, like there's a lot of layers going on here. I did quite a few layers. There's like pencil, there's paint. I love Procreate because you can imitate all of the different, look what I just did. I did a row of the knit. This is what the knit brush looked like. from the ugly sweater illustration. Glad I saw that before I clicked off. But anyways, why I like Procreate is because you can imitate so many different effects of different kinds of materials, like oil paint, watercolor, you know, pen and ink, pencil. You can imitate all of these on here, and it's just a fun way to, you know, use all of those materials. It doesn't take place of doing things in person. Like in physical art, you can like mix things together and use your hands to, like, you know, mush things and smudge things, but there is a lot that you can do digitally. And say you're traveling or something and you still want to make art, you can, you know, just take along your iPad and make any kind of art that you want. So I really am enjoying, you know, exploring all the things I can do here in digital art. This is one I'm going to show you. Actually, it was painted in person, a physical art piece that I painted, and I'm going to go show you the actual art of that. Okay, so that was everything I've done digitally so far. So let's head over to my office and we'll take a look at all the physical art that I was working on. Okay, there's not a lot of physical work, so we're just gonna go through it really quick. This was just one that I did with my Durrant ink tents. I just was having the urge to do a little fashion illustration moment here. That was just fun. So yeah, I used the Durrant ink tent, so I colored it in and then used the water to activate it, and that was just a fun thing I did one day. And then these are a couple that I did from the Domestica course. That was Jessica Durrant, I believe is her name. I will link that as well in the description, which is a really great fashion illustration. She teaches I like the way she teaches it, 'cause she uses actually inks, like India inks and acrylic inks, watercolor inks, that kind of thing. And then she does a lot of experimentation with her inks. And then what she does is then she uses different fashion silhouettes and she combines them all digitally. So she'll do just a bunch of different kind of splashes and things maybe, but then she'll do like a really basic outline of a fashion girl, and then in Procreate she'll go, or in Photoshop or somewhere, she'll layer them up and just shows all the different ways that you can combine those techniques into some really cool fashion illustrations. But anyways, this is based on one of her tutorials. So it was just taking a fashion illustration, basically doing it in a solid color or one color. This was just one color of green ink, just seeing how it moves. I didn't really like this one. It looks like her body's really short, but it was a good example of just using, this is all done with just black ink and then a green ink. And then something I could go and put this into Procreate and then maybe take a kind of floral that I've also done in watercolor and maybe overlay it onto the image, but that's what this one was for. And this was the second one I did, and the technique was actually to use the masking fluid, which comes in the bottle. So when you're doing, if you've done watercolor, you can buy this, use this masking fluid, which you then paint on the areas that you want to stay white. So I had painted masking fluid on all of the flowers and her gloves and everything. And then I went in with my bright pink watercolor ink, acrylic ink, and so you can see different variations in it. Just experimenting, but I just thought this one turned out really pretty. I love it. I love it so much. It's just so girly and feminine and watercolor. Like, I don't know. I really like it. I like this vintage look to her as well. But I really love that one. That one I was kind of really happy with. I did put this one up on my Etsy shop, available as a print. And then I just tried another one on the watercolor, and I just painted her hair basically and her lips, and the rest is done in a pencil illustration. But the thing I don't like about doing like on this watercolor paper is I don't know if you can see how textured it is. So I tried scanning some of these. Even this one I had trouble with because the paper is so textured. I had a really hard time photographing it and then getting digital files made of it because I didn't like the way that the watercolor paper shows up, very like textured. I loved the texture of her hair, but I hated the texture of the paper. And even the color on this one here was really hard. I wanted to show you how many times I tried printing this on different papers, different settings, trying like to see how can I get the best image. I tried all different papers, all different thicknesses, textures. There's a couple there. Like there's white versus beige. And then, because I bought a lot of different papers, so trying to see like what was the best thing to print on. This was a whole day printing all these, just figuring out, and then also like creating the digital file without all of the texture from the watercolor, without losing the detail. I had the hardest time with. So I think I've talked about this in other videos, the frustration of printing sometimes, which is why I end up doing a lot of digital work that I know I want to sell prints of, because I know exactly how it's going to turn out. When I create a file in Procreate to draw and I create it in a CMYK file, I know that that is going to print out exactly in the colors that I see on screen. So I never have to worry about it. And then when I do physical art, I have the hardest time. And maybe for some of you, it's super easy and you don't have any problem with it. But for me, for some reason, it's hard. It's like a big block for me. So this is me like trying that out. All of these that I made. But those are just some of the artworks that I have been working on. And then I was, you know, because playing around with my new printer as well. This was a actual painting I did on boards. Some things do work out eventually. I managed to get a nice digital file of this one. So I was just practicing printing out a couple things that I had done on Procreate and to see how that printed out. And this was one I had done an actual watercolor of and then took it into Procreate and then added the design over top. So this is like, I like experimenting and using kind of different medias together because I think there's just so many more options. So just printing out things with my new printer to see how it looks on certain paper, but also just see how physically it looks when it's printed. And also to make sure that it does look nice if I do want to sell these prints, is it going to turn out right? So that's the one I showed you on my iPad, and that's how the print looks, and I think it looks great. It's a nice mauve, kind of dusty mauve color in the background. This was that swimsuit illustration. You can kind of see the texture, kind of like a watercolor texture in behind it. I just thought that would look cute, like if you had a beach cottage or any kind of cabin or cottage or lakefront property. I thought these would look nice in a set, kind of framed on the wall. Kind of fun. Just printing out again some of the fashion illustrations that I had worked on my iPad. This was a set I actually did last year, but I just printed them out. And the color is not the same because when I made these two, I didn't use a CMYK file that I started off with in Procreate I think was an RGB, so they didn't print the same colors that I made it in. It still looks okay, but it's not the same. So now that I know to start the files with a CMYK file and not RGB, then now I know that the colors will turn out exactly as I draw them. But I thought that was a fun set. And then that was just another fashion girly that I drew for funsies. But anyways, that's what I've been working on physically. So I thought you just might find that interesting. This might just hopefully isn't too long of a video, just showing the art that I've been working on. So that's all the stuff and all the real physical art. I mean, it's all real art, but that's all my physical art. So I thought you might enjoy seeing what I've been working on. All right, well, that is all I have for you today. I just thought it might be fun just to see what I've been working on lately, because I know I do a lot of videos that are more tutorials or inspiration, things like that. But I thought, let me get back to showing art, which is the whole reason why I started this channel in the first place, because I'm just exploring the art that I want to work on and how to become a full-time artist eventually. I still haven't figured out exactly what I'm doing. I'm trying things and working on them, but it's all, you know, it all evolves over time, and some things I get drawn to more than others, and some things I haven't even tried that I've talked about yet. So this is the stuff that I've been working on, that I'm experimenting with, and I'm by no means professional, or I'm not even formally trained in art. This is mostly self-taught from art in high school, and then I took fashion design and visual merchandising, but they don't really teach you how to make art in those. You just learn a certain type of art. So everything that I do is pretty much self-taught. So take everything I say with a grain of salt. This is just how I do things and just what I've been working on. And I might do things completely wrong compared to how you do them. But that's the great thing about creativity, is like everybody can take it and do it their own way and nobody's wrong. It's just having fun in the end. It's just being creative and having fun and just getting all those ideas that are in your head out into the world. So I hope that you keep creating and keep making art of any kind, and I hope that you enjoyed seeing what I've been working on, even though it's sometimes hard to show the stuff that you're working on because you're like, well, it's not that good and people might judge me. It's okay, just show it anyway. Just show it anyway. Who cares? At least be brave and just get it out there. So I hope you enjoyed that, and that you're making some fun art of your own. And until next time, I'll see you guys later. Take care.